Happy Wednesday, Christian Fellowship. We're in the third week of Advent now, and you may notice that behind me is a scene you may not have seen before. I'm shooting this from our new and hopefully improved in my opinion, adult classroom here in the church building, the church facility. And my plan is to do a little brief tour of our classroom updates here in just about a week and a half, and put that out for all of you on Sunday the 26th. And then you can kind of see what we've been doing, and hopefully get excited about the ability to use these things again. When we first started this expansion, we thought, we've only got probably a month or two to get these things ready before people want to use them, and here we are about 6 months later. So in some ways it's been good to have the extra time because we wouldn't have been ready, but in others it's a major bummer because we hope to be done with this by then. Anyway, we're in the third week of Advent here, and for our church the third week theme this year was love, and so we were spending some time reflecting on what is this love of God that we celebrate in the Christmas season. And I wanted to read John chapter 1 today because I think, in Luke and Matthew we have conventional birth narratives. In John we have kind of a prologue, and it's in some ways it is kind of a birth narrative, but it's about the beginning, and John traces the beginning of the Jesus story all the way back to the very beginning of creation, and he draws a clear line between Jesus coming in the flesh and God speaking life and speaking the earth and everything in it into existence. And so John draws a clear parallel between Genesis 1 and the beginning of the Jesus story. And John chapter 1 is this: in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet, to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Eugene Peterson translates that in his translation, the Message, as the Word moved into the neighborhood. And I love that, and I try to point it out every time I'm talking about this particular passage. And so what we have in the gospel message is a God whose people had rejected him and moved away from him, people who had decided to be his enemies. And what we find is a God who went to extraordinary lengths to redeem and to embrace those people once again, to make them his again. And we find in the letters of John this simple statement: God is love. And love always needs an object, and so one of the things that has sprung out of this statement and the letters of John and the Gospel of John is the theology of the Trinity. And so this says that in God's very nature, God has three persons who are eternally dancing in love with one another, and they are eternally submitting to one another and giving to one another. And then all of creation sprang forth from that. All of creation came from that love. And so then we have human beings created in this very image, human beings who need love, who need to give love and to receive love. And we are in some ways invited into this loving Trinitarian relationship. This is fantastic news, folks, and this is, to me, the mind-blowing nature of the love of God. This, to me, is the bedrock of what Christianity is about, of what Jesus is about, of what our faith is about, is this amazing, simple, but profound, deep, immeasurable, unfathomable love. And that's the invitation of the Christmas season. I want to read for you, as I close up, this quote from a guy named Frederick Buechner, and he's a pretty good preacher, if I say so. He says this: "The love for equals is a human thing, of friend for friend, brother for brother. It is to love what is loving and lovely. The world smiles. The love for the less fortunate is a beautiful thing. The love for those who suffer, for those who are poor, the sick, the failures, the unlovely. This is compassion, and it touches the heart of the world. The love for the more fortunate is a rare thing, to love those who succeed where we fail, to rejoice without envy for those who rejoice, the love of the poor for the rich. The world is always bewildered by its saints. And then there is the love for the enemy. Love for the one who does not love you but mocks, threatens, and inflicts pain. The tortured's love for the torturer. This is God's love. It conquers the world. The love of Christ has slowly and surely conquered the world since he came so long ago. And when we celebrate Christmas season, when we remember this love of God, remember that this love conquers the world. Thanks, folks. Well, you'll see me on Sunday. I don't know how many of you I'll see, but hope to see you Sunday.